Yeah, I know you can't hear me. I'm trying here. Check, check, check. No. All right, cool. All right, we're good now. All right, good stuff. All right, we're talking about some fun stuff today. Thank you very much, everybody. It's a fucking team effort. All right, today we're gonna talk about onboarding. Actually, before we do that, I'm gonna get rid of my gum. Now we're gonna talk about onboarding. As it turns out, there is a direct connection and correlation between the words that you use in your onboarding session, how you communicate those words in your onboarding session, and what you say and how you say it so that ultimately people want to renew, upgrade, and or down the line buy your stuff. Most people are having a really good time asking horrifically poor onboarding questions. Thank you very much, Frankie. And they put themselves in a position where they're accidentally in the belief that they're doing okay to good. And the reality is that they don't understand something called subtext. Subtext is what your client is thinking in their brain as you say things with your mouth. If you ever taken any like English 101 where you have to digest reading between the lines, that is subtext. If you have enough subtext that's negative or poor or puts you in the wrong bucket, your client is going to think of you very poorly. You know, trepidation, frustration. They're going to say, now I have to be an angry captain of my own ship. I thought I was spending a lot of money on somebody to do more stuff. They'll have resentful compliance. And the end result is you have the wrong feelings. You're not optimizing for retention, renewals, and upgrades. Instead, you're optimizing for a 1 month to 3 month contract of a client who does not want compliance or to do their part. We're going to go through this line by line, step by step. The ultimate goal here is to put you in a position where you have a fundamental better understanding of how to have an onboarding conversation with the clients. So again, we're going to start from the left, and this is stereotypically how onboarding. What's like the best format here? Let me check. This. I like this. So again, we're going to start on the left side, how most people do their onboarding session. We're going to go all the way through, and then we're going to reverse engineer. And at the end result is you should be in a position where you're no longer having poor to okay onboarding sessions, but instead in a position where your client goes, damn, this guy is really good. I want to refer you out. I want to upgrade, and I want to pay you a boatload of money over time. So, for example, I did this onboarding style with my tax client. She went from $1,500. 2 weeks later, she added another account for a total of 3,000, then another account for 4,000, and now she wants to pay us $10,000 for a setter placement. That 4 month for the average agency of 1,000 to 1,500 is about 4, 5, 6,000 bucks. But instead for us, it's probably going to be closer to 20, 30, or even 40 grand. It's because I reverse engineered the onboarding process to optimize for referrals, upgrades, and renewals. So if y'all ready to boogie and party, this is it right here. Stereotypically, most people start their onboarding session with a payment of money to kickstart a paying agency relationship, and then they will send an onboarding form. This onboarding form asks very stupid, inane, redundant, and repeatable questions. It is fundamentally flawed and arguably unfair for someone to receive this form from you, and it is of poor guidance to be sending it out. On those stereotypical forms, you're asking questions like, what's your contact information? You and I both know when you go to the doctor's office and they ask for your name, number, email, address, zip code, birth date, city, state, you're going, you already know my city and state. You don't need my zip code. We've already talked over the phone. Why are you asking this information again? When you type in things like, so what launch date do you want? Your client is of the belief that now I have to be in charge. When you ask questions about, like, how would you rate your lead quality? We all know they're not coming to you because they got great knees. You and I both know their knees suck. Why are you asking them how bad their knees are? What does success look like? You think this is a great question. We all know what success looks like. And it continues on and on because you're asking questions like, give me a Google dump of your logos and assets. You can go find them. Who are your competitors? You should know them. What are your current marketing channels? That's Googleable. Further on and further on and further on, you think you're asking great questions, but you're really asking questions that reinforce a negative subtext. These are not good onboarding questions. These are questions that make your client say, oh, I guess I should not be renewing with you. Oh, I guess I don't have to pay you money anymore. Oh, I guess I'm just going to leave. And I know this because I have been onboarded and I have onboarded with this. These types of questions are low status. They are emotionally tone deaf. They offload responsibility. They waste time. They undermine confidence. When you ask these questions, it makes the client feel like they've hired a virtual assistant instead of a visionary captain that can execute. Again, I know this because this is how people onboard me. And when they ask questions like, what's my contact information? What's my launch date? What's my competitors? I know I will not be doing more than 1, 2, or even 3 months with them. When you ask questions like, can you send over any creatives you run in the past? What your client hears is, we don't have a starting point unless you spoon feed us. When you ask questions like, do you have any examples of what you like? Your client hears, oh, they don't have a vision. When you ask questions like, who is your target customer? They hear, we haven't done any research. Help us figure it out. When you ask questions like, what KPIs matter most to you? You and I both know you know that answer. And when you're hoping to launch is obviously ASAP. Like, why would I hire you to launch something in 6 years? It's silly, it's stupid, it's redundant. And again, you have to understand something called subtext. Subtext is the text that appears in a client's head when you ask them stupid questions. When you have enough negative subtext, their brains are thinking, no, I'm not interested. They will create feelings that lead to failure and eventually the ending of a renewal, upgrade, or retainer conversation, even if they have client results. I'll say it again. If you ask these questions on an onboarding form, you will create subtext that leads into thoughts and feelings that will preemptively end your relationship with your client, even if you have amazing results. You will elicit figures and feelings of trepidation, frustration, doubt, resentful compliance, the urge for them to micromanage you, apathy, and then more importantly, who's in charge? Because if your client has to tell you what's going on, you're not in charge. Your client is. And that's what happens again and again and again in agency client relationships that start off with poor questions. Those feelings determine your client's success and compliance. And instead of asking stupid questions on your onboarding form that lead to subtext of me thinking you're stupid, leading to feelings that make me know that you're stupid, so I end the contract, you need to reverse engineer into the correct feelings. Bigger picture, here's what is happening. You are secretly of the belief that operating in an average capacity is okay and fair because you believe that all things are equal, that everybody's got an equal shot, and we all have an equal opportunity, that success is equally distributed amongst all players. And if you are asking average questions, you've got a fair chance. This is incorrect because markets do not look like this, and success does not look like this, and opportunity does not look like this. When you ask average questions, you are of the belief you are playing safe. The reality is that success is heavily weighted to the winners. 80% of the success is about 10 to 20% of the market. 80% of the results go to 10 to 20% of the players. And when you ask average clients, or you act in average, or you have the belief that average is safe, you're not fighting over the middle market. You're actually fighting over the small percentage of the market. You are not fighting over the largest bucket. You are fighting over the smallest. This is where your average onboarding questions land you. This is what your average onboarding clients make you believe. This is where you exist when you ask average, stupid questions. The quality of your agency relationship, the quality of your retainers, renewals, and upgrades is a function of the questions you ask on the onboarding form. You ask average questions, you're not going to get average results. You're going to get infinitely smaller, less than average results. You need to reverse engineer these feelings so that clients are impressed with the quality of the questions that you ask. Let's do it. First things first, you need to optimize and start with the highest dollar, highest, stickiest emotions and feelings, like relief that I'm here, like momentum and clarity. I finally feel like I know where I'm going. Prestige, I'm so happy Jeff took me on as a client. Intense interest in the journey. Courage, people that are rudders instead of boulders. Pride, and don't worry, we got this. The agency is leading. If your client has thoughts and feelings of this, not only will they stick around longer, but they'll actually leave you a testimonial on the onboarding session. How cool is that? You need to reverse engineer the thoughts and feelings of the onboarding session so your clients spend more money with you. To answer the question of how do I make this fucking happen, you move on backwards to the subtext. If you want your clients to stay and to think, we've done this before, you're in good hands, you need to say things like, we've already mapped out your next 90 days, here's the plan. If you want your client to have subtext and say, we do the work before we get paid, you're already ahead, you need to do things like, we already ran an audit before the call, we found 3 gaps and 2 quick wins. Here's what you're executing today. If you want your client to have subtext like, you get leverage, not labor, we make decisions, you get results, you need to say things like, here's what we've already built for you, no input needed. In fact, I got off the phone yesterday of a pitch call. I said, I'm not buying anytime soon. He said, cool, man, we've already made it anyway. Here it is. I now have the feeling of pride and relief. Everybody else is waiting to get paid. It took this guy 15 minutes. If you want your clients to think, hey, the agency is already looking 3 moves ahead for you, you need to start saying things like your competitors are doing X, but missing Y. Here's how you'll outposition them. If you want your clients to have excited compliance, you need to say, don't think about messaging right now. We've already created 3 based upon your client avatars. This is the subtext your clients need to think so that they have pride, relief, momentum, clarity, prestige, become rudders, not boulders. Again, we are reverse engineering this so that we don't become average, but instead become the top 80, 90, or 100%. This is how you look like a high status person, high status business, and then eventually deliver high status results. This is human being psychology 101, fellas. High status, emotionally aware, the ownership of responsibility, and adding time. This is what you need to be doing and giving the impression and example of on the onboarding session. You want to make the client feel like they have hired leadership and execution instead of another head that they have to manage. This is the biggest reason why clients, including me, end their contracts. It feels like I have another head to manage that is irrespective of the dollars spent. This is why the phrase of the free intern got the better deal is true. Because you think the cost of hiring you is just money. It's also time and attention. And if I got to watch you, that's two costs. If you give the implication and impression that you need to be watched, you're already ending it before it comes up. You need to ask better questions. So, for example, instead of saying things like, what's your contact information? What's your launch date? And what's your lead quality? You need to give your clients a ranked choice of pre built assets. Here's 5 templates that already work in your industry. Rank them based upon how you think and feel fit with your brand. Amazing. Give your client a sample dashboard that will be filled in once every 2 weeks. Amazing. Give your client out of the box KPIs. This is the goal. For every 10 leads, you should get 2 people on the phone. One of those will be qualified. Cool. Give your client milestones with due dates. From the day you pay day one, here's the milestones of the next 2, 8, 16, 64, 128 days. Push that shit out to 2 years. Magically, your clients will start sticking around for 2 goddamn years. On the onboarding session, you should be saying, here's your competitors. We tore them down. We did a breakdown of their funnel. P.S. I had to do it anyway. P.S. I did it 3 months ago. P.S. It's on my YouTube channel. But fuck it, I made the Canva anyway, so here we're going through it. Doesn't matter if you're right or you're wrong. You are giving the impression that you are not an additional head to manage and you're avoiding 2 costs. It's either money and time, not both. Tell them about the culture and the communication standard, how they will be spoken to, how they will be spoken at, what's appropriate for them to say and to not. For example, if you are a waiter and you're going to your head maitre d and you say table number 4 is missing bread and there's no bread, you're introducing a problem to your head maitre d. Instead, you should be saying, hey, table 4 is missing bread. There is no bread. I gave him a fruit instead and gave him a $5 gift certificate. That is a solution. Now the maitre d simply has to say, great idea, or next time do something different. How many of you are telling your clients how to talk to you? How many of you are waiting to get talked to first? Give your client a list of quick wins for their database. Hey, here's 5 text messages and 5 emails that you can send right here. Most clients will make our feedback twice over. Give them a priority list based upon me and my background and everything that we've done for clients just like you. Here's a list of top 5 priorities. If you feel that there's something on this priority list that should not be there, you can swap it out, but we're only working on the top 3 out of these 5. We're not going to switch them around. You get to rank them. This is it. Thanks. And now your client is not talking to you about reviewing their sales calls. Or they are. You should give your client a self-service AI assistant, which costs a grand total of, I think, $300 a month. Give your client samples, hooks, headlines, and tones for their video ads. Give them the top 3 client avatars and their psychographics and their selling points, their pain points. It costs 15 cents and 15 minutes to make this. More importantly, tell your clients what you won't do. How many people are telling that to their clients? How many people are going to their clients saying, hey, here's everything that we do? And how many people are saying, here's everything that we don't do? Why the hell not? See the difference? If you have an onboarding session that is like this, we're giving the ranked choice of pre-built assets, competitor teardowns, sample tones and hooks, out-of-the-box KPIs. All of a sudden, you are light years ahead of people asking for their contact information. Light years ahead of people asking for their logos and assets. Light years away from people saying, so what does success look like? This is the type of stuff you should be asking. Because when you ask these questions, The subtext is much higher status, which makes people very happy to do business with you and immediately send referrals. When we went through this process with our most recent client, they came on board at $1,500 a month. That's after a $3,000 setup fee. And they immediately went from 1,500 to 3 grand to 4 grand. And now we're talking about a 10K setter placement. This is the type of stuff you need to be doing. These are the types of questions that move you over here. And now you're no longer fighting over 20% of the market. Now you're fighting over 80%. These are the types of questions you need to be asking to generate referrals, retainers, renewals, upgrades. And this is how you turn a $1,000 one-time thing into an immediate 2x, 3x, and 4x. This is the type of sales infrastructure that makes ads very easy to get an ROI on. This is the type of sales infrastructure and business infrastructure that keeps clients forever. This is what is missing. This works whether it's a done for you service or done with you service, a do it yourself service. This works whether it's stupid simple ads, a coaching program about stupid simple ads, or even a info product about stupid simple ads. It's all about asking the right questions to get the right subtext, to get the right emotion, and then reverse engineering the correct emotions into the right subtext, to the right sentences, to the right deliverables. The challenge is that most people are accidentally of the belief that this requires a lot of work. That is also incorrect. Milestones with due dates are copy and paste. Priority list is copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste. 15 minutes, 15 minutes. Already built. Demo deck. It's the same for everybody. Same for everybody. You had to do this anyway. And this is in your assets file. The communication that you have on your onboarding session determines happiness, the length, and the amount of money your client will spend to you, even if the results are the same. The difference is here, you ask questions that make them say, God damn it, I have to manage somebody else. Here, you're asking questions and delivering things that make them say, damn, I finally have relief. Somebody else is leading. I have courage. I have interest. I have prestige. And now I can be a rudder, not the boulder. Believe me, your client does not want to be in charge. They want you to be in charge. You can do that by doing this. Are there any questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, ideas about this process, this way of working, or anything along those lines? I'll stay on board for a little Q&A, and then we'll see what happens and take it from there. Let me open up Facebook and see if there's any questions on the live. 2 seconds, ladies and gents. Let me bring it up. Amit says, great info. Anytime, my man. I hope you bake a boatload of money. What's up, Frankie? Appreciate your love and all that fun stuff. Let me check the comments on Instagram. Someone says it was hard to see. I zoomed in for you. Someone says, if you're dropping off this live, you run an agency, this is gold. Much appreciated, Luke. I hope you make a boatload of money. Irish says, I'm just joining. Is there anywhere I can see this back? So I'm not going to release it to the public, but I will zoom in so that you can go ahead and take a look. Let me do this. No, that should do it. And I'll see if I can adjust this so it maxes up. Max, 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 max. There we go. All right, cool. So I'll let you eyeball this sucker and then screenshot as necessary. Obviously, as I asked you enough questions. Appreciate it. What's going on, Peter 1? What's going on, Irish? Irish, I'm just going line by line so you can screenshot this stuff. I know there's a delay. Irish says I can't see it on IG. Yeah, dude. This is going to be put on my YouTube channel. It'll be easier to double check there. But let's see if this helps you. I'll zoom in. Is it going to get there? Come on, Instagram, refresh. All right, maybe it won't. Oh, it does. Okay, there you go. All right, so I'll just do a couple slides and then you can screenshot. So there you go, my man. So let me close that out. There we go. Hiron Scale says it's valuable stuff you brought today. Appreciate it. Hopefully, it moves the needle in the right way. What's interesting is the whole process of writing the onboarding process down is really a culmination of maybe like my 8 years in agency world, 8 years in courses and coaching, and me realizing that the questions that people ask me on the onboarding form are the equivalent of me going to a doctor in a full leg cast, grabbing my knees, saying, "Oh my God, it's broken." And then the doctor goes, "What brings you in today?" Really? Like, that's what you got for me? Really? What brings you in today? You can clearly see it. What I want from that doctor relationship is three people walk in, they take control, they take charge, they see the problems, they take action. Even if it's not 100% complete, I don't have to be in charge because it's not my area of expertise. That's the same exact thing you should be having with your clients, which is I understand it, I'm making progress, I'm making movement. Just kind of chill out for a bit. So there you go. But if you've got questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, or ideas, we'll open up the floor to Q&A, and then we'll take it from there. Let me share it. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Q&A. Amit says you should have all the answers from all sorts of discovery calls you already would have had. Correct. Yeah. So I will sign up with an agency service. Then they'll ask for my contact information on the form. I'm like, really? Why? I'll sign up for an agency service and they say questions like, so when do you want to go live? Really? Why? I'll sign up for an agency service and they'll ask questions like, so what does success look like for you? Where's your branding? Where's your logos? Where are your assets? I'm like, I already know. I already know it's going to be 3 months max. And if I can get out of it earlier, I will. And most times, most people who ask these questions stereotypically have worse results. Okay. That's how that shit works. Let's see what other questions we got. Digital Wealth with Abed, Tim Palmer, Centermind, Bastita, Copy with SK, Iman, David, Albert. Yeah, I think we're rocking and rolling. Let me check the event log. Does that matter? All right, we're all good. Hamza says, I'm a copywriter looking for a job. Cool. Let's rank that statement in that sentence. For everyone who just saw Hamza say, I'm a copywriter looking for a job, would you rank that in this bucket here or in this bucket here? It is very, very difficult for somebody to help Hamza saying, I need a job. You are definitely a boulder, not a rudder. Nothing anybody can do for you based exclusively on the questions. You got to ask better questions, my man. Copy with SK says, hey, how does your SMA bundle work? It's my front end low ticket. That's what I use to get your credit card so I can sell you more stuff later on. Iman says, should I niche down in D2C, so direct to consumer? I have an agency. I think you mean B2C. Can you rephrase that question? Chris asks a good question, says, should we be answering pain points and hitting emotions on a low ticket offers to get on these calls, or just be building curiosity? I feel like when I see yours as curiosity, it's just getting started. There is no reason to remind someone that they are in pain. None. They live with it. They fucking get it. It's usually of the copy and ads that I see that talk about pain points, it's not encompassing of a large market. It's usually encompassing of a very, 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 very small percentage of that buyer's market. So again, out of like 100% of people, I think like 1 to 2% are buying today. The rest are thinking about it later. And when you remind somebody of the pain, that only appeals to people who are in pain, which means you are no longer appealing to the 98% of people who will be buying your stuff in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, right? So when you look at pharmaceutical commercials in the United States, they have pain in there, but they also have the pleasure of. For example, it'll be like a knee pain commercial, and they'll say, when you try to play with your kids, does your knee stop you from living the life that you want? Right? That's a little bit of pain with a whole lot of ideal life and a whole lot of pleasure. Most people interpret that as like you need to talk about pain. And then they talk about how much your knee hurts and like the grinding of the knee and then the cartilage tearing apart and like, oh my God, did you buy my knee brace? No, man, you're pointing them to a different solution. Right. So the answer to your question is that it's usually curiosity. It's not pain. It's not hitting emotion with a pain. It's being of curiosity and attention. And that makes low ticket work very, very, very well. Iman says, should I niche down in direct to consumer brands or just provide services to fashion or lifestyle, or doesn't it matter? Well, yeah, obviously you should niche down, right? Usually when people ask that question, I don't mean to attack you when I say this. So typically when people ask the question of like, should I niche down to D2C brands? Usually, let me see if I can pin this, by the way. Does that do anything? It does not. Stereotypically, when people ask that, they don't have a very, very good service. So I'm going to put you in that bucket where you don't have a good service yet. Again, I don't mean this to be offensive. I could be wrong, but I'm speaking in as such, right? I think it sounds more like, hey, Jeff, I need to know of the 2 or 3 services that fashion and lifestyle e-commerce brands would be willing to pay for. That's a much better question. You can go ahead and really run with that shit really well. You can build a whole skill set around that. And now you're good at a thing, irrespective of it just happens to be specialized in. So again, instead of saying like, should I niche down? I want to rephrase your question to, what are the 2 or 3 services that a D2C e-commerce fashion lifestyle brand would be willing to pay for? You can find a fuck ton of those, right? And then you can build a skill set. I'm pretty sure you could watch 20 hours of YouTube channel really fucking fast. And now you can build demos and put them on your Instagram. And then you can do what other companies are doing, which are like these funnel breakdowns where it's like, here's a behind the scenes of the $500 million butcher box funnel. That's a very good way of like getting a lot of eyeballs fucking fast. Right. So that's how I would like rephrase this. Chris says, you just changed my mental framework. Happy to hear it. There you go. JW says, how do you refresh a low ticket that seems to be slowing down? New ads, refresh the whole product, make a new one. It's stereotypically new ads, almost stereotypically. If you've done a good job of customer avatar research, you'll know if you need to change your product. Assuming that you've done the customer avatar research, everything is kosher, it's almost always a ad and headline and attention and curiosity thing. I'm of course assuming that your product is kosher, right? Your landing page is kosher. Most times you can even get a $30 cost per purchase like we do, which is industry average for low ticket, off a one sentence headline landing page. You know what I mean? So if you're hitting those numbers, it's almost always an ad or angle or hook story offer, that kind of stuff. And I talk regularly with people that are spending 30, 40, $50,000 a day on ads, and they increase that shit because it's profitable. And it's almost always an ads game. Almost always. Let's see what else. Hamza says, I just saw your Instagram account and YouTube channel, and I think your service product is good. But how you introduce it to people is bad. I'm a copywriter. I can write for you ads, landing pages. Dude, man, I can't work with you. Like, you're not even watching the onboarding stuff that we just talked about. Like, this is a fantastic example. Like, if you want the attention, right? This is what you're doing. You're doing this right here, right? You should be doing this right here. So it's pretty clear to me that we're not even watching the live. What do you want me to do, my man? Continues on and says, because they judge a book by its cover, maker cover is perfect. How about that, bro? No, dude. Pass. Like, I'm showing you the answer key. You're not even watching it. Copy says, what do you do? Jeff, sell stuff on the internet, have coaching clients, done for you clients, that kind of stuff. Let's see what's on Facebook. Meet says, if you're going after a new industry, you want to have anything proven for them, how do you still give them confidence in your abilities? You do have plenty of stuff that's proven. You just haven't talked about it, right? So let's say I wanted to go into funnel building of e-commerce companies. I could just start building funnels today and they would suck ass, right? But I built stuff and I could build from 8 a.m. to noon, 4 hours straight, and then spend 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. promoting, marketing, having client conversations, right? And I could do that 10 times and I had 10 fucking funnels, good, bad, or ugly, right? And then I could start doing funnel breakdowns and say, here's a behind the scenes or a breakdown of a funnel, or exactly how Russell Brunson, has grown to 100,000 SaaS customers. Here's the entire front end breakdown, line by line, step by step. It's a great fucking video. Right? At the bottom, I could say, hey, if you want to work with me one-on-one, implement something like this that's unique and applicable to your business, click here. There we go. I could do it for myself. I could do it for fake companies that don't exist. I could even do it for real companies that do exist. I could go to people and say, hey, I know you're not going to buy this, but I want to let you know that I've rebuilt your offers in that butcher box format. Peace out. So imagine it's kind of like those video editing kids that do all the clips. I get pitched on Instagram all the time, like, hey, dude, your videos suck. Hey, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do blah, blah, blah. And immediately I just go and look at their Instagram. There's nothing fucking there. Right. And then it's a very antagonistic conversation very quickly. So you do have proven abilities. It is the process of building. I think what you're expecting in me is turning somebody into an overnight millionaire, which nobody expects. Not a single person. And the confidence part is they click on your Instagram and they see your work. So there you go. Mr. Connect Marketing says, so instead of reminding pain, we focus on pleasure. Not necessarily, but sure, right? Who is this for in the ideal situation? That's much better. You'll make a lot more money focusing on the who than any other the who, what, when, where, why, and how, right? And the how is probably the least profitable, least amount of money. The what, again, is least profitable, least amount of money. The who is the most profitable. That's where people spend most of their time, most of their money. Is this for me? Who else gets this? Who is teaching it? Who's going to the party? If I like people going to the party, I'm going to fucking go to the party. I don't care where the party is. If I like the people, I'm going. Who else is going to the party? Same idea. So I would focus more on like the who, like 80 to 90% of it. Manuel says, do you still do detailed targeting? Nope. I'll let the ad do the work. Jeff Scott says, this is a big shift. It feels like a lot can be handled with a video. Do you think a live onboarding call is better? I do. Because it's a very good way of building a testimonial right then and there. At what point is speed at odds with a nice experience? I found stereotypically that a one-on-one onboarding session is a very low value when there's nothing valuable on the fucking call. So if you're just asking, hey, what's your contact information? Let me get that shit connected, blah, blah, low value, stupid. Nobody like that shit, right? But if you say, hey, when we get on the horn, I'm going to give you a ranked choice of pre-built assets that make your brand look amazing. And I'll walk you through a competitor teardown. Show you some samples, hooks, and headlines. Give the top 3 client avatars their psychographics, plus a priority list of milestones. I'm there. Then it's valuable very quickly. Let's see what else. Do. Hamza is coming back with some fire. Says that wasn't for you. I'm not asking you for a job, bro. I just want some advice. Okay. I could have sworn you asked for a job earlier. But again, Hamza, you're not looking at what's directly in front of you. This is what you should be saying. Hey, Jeff, I've uh, built a, I've created some pre-built assets of blah blah blahs specifically for you and people like you. I've created client dashboard with out of the box KPIs and a self-service and AI assistant, plus some sample hooks and headlines. Can I give it to you? That's getting someone's attention very quickly. So if you want some help getting clients or getting a job, the answer's on the fucking screen. This is what you should be doing right there. Copy says, how should I make a funnel? Sorry, dude, can't ask that. That's a Google thing. I don't have the time for it. I apologize for my response. It's just, I guess that asked a million times. JW says, I'm hitting those numbers. The answer might be an upselling and onboarding. Correct. Yeah. So stereotypically, a low ticket done correctly, you'll lose 20% of your money. Done very, very well. Sorry, you'll lose 30 to 40% of your money. Done very, very well, you'll make 80 to 90%. And 1 out of 7 days, I'll make like 1.3. And that's like shit is working, right? So it's not a scenario of avoiding upselling and onboarding. That's where the money is made every time. And most people view low ticket as an excuse to not do those things. Not gonna work out the way you think, right? Let's see. What else? Someone says, is this live? Where can I join the live? Well, you're on it right now. So, that's the answer, I guess, right? But this will be and should be hosted back on YouTube pretty soon. Let's see what else. I think this is everything, right? Yeah, this is everything I wanted to go over. I'm gonna boogie off in 3 minutes. Ask your piece or forever hold your questions. Let me just double check. I think that's everything. I'm gonna refresh the chat and see what's going on. Yeah, someone says, brother, are you able to onboard me in cold email marketing and web development? Do better. Just do better, right? Jeez Louise. Fucking children over here. Go be an adult. Let's see what else we got. I think that's everything. Last call for any questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, or ideas. I think that's everything. Yeah. All right. JWP, see you next time. Scott, Garcia, Connect Marketing, Amit, Angel. Hope this was useful for you. I'm going to rock and roll. We got another client that we're going to onboard later today. Peace out.